4. Next, Pledge of Allegiance, if I could have that led by Mr. McGinnis.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with justice for all.
Item number 3, comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items that are not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will move on to number 4, comments by Borough Council and Mayor, starting with Ms. Vaccaro.
I just wanted to remind everybody that weather dependent on May 23rd, we will have the Clydesdales back in Westchester, and they're going to be at Borough Hall between 4 and 5, and then throughout the borough 5 to 6 on Gay Market. So I'm very excited about that. And I also want to remind everybody that TAPS is going to come back to Westchester on Wednesday evenings. So happy hours Wednesday evenings, more participants than ever before. So go out, enjoy yourself, and have a good time.
Thank you. Mr. McGinnis?
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone that we have Porch Fest, which is Saturday. That is May, oh my God, 18th, with the weather date May 19th. It's a great time. Come on down to the 3rd Ward. Over 100 bands are going to be playing. Meet your neighbors. There's going to be food trucks. I think it's the best event in the borough, so I hope to see you all there.
Mr. Travis?
I was happy to see a white flag in the front of my house in the sidewalk, which had a tree listed as a white, I believe it was an elm. No, it wasn't an elm. It was an oak, white oak. And so it's basically, it's spring tree planting season. I'm very happy to see that go in. If anybody like myself is receiving a tree, you will actually need to help this tree live. So make sure that you water it, especially through the fall, and especially if we don't get rain, or it will die like mine did last year. So just a reminder.
Thank you. Ms. Dorsey?
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Just want to remind everyone of National EMS Week from May 23rd, or from 5 to 7:30 here at Good Fellowship Ambulance. Also want to recognize all of our police officers here in Westchester for National Police Week, running the 8th through I think the 18th. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn?
Greetings from the sweetest ward in the borough, the 6th Ward. Ms. Vaccaro stole my talk about the Clydesdales because I had a full presentation up there. But thank you very much. It's quite all right. We'll still.
Here comes the king, here comes the big number 1. Budweiser beer, the king is second to none.
The whole fact is, I didn't know if we could get the Clydesdales to come to Westchester to celebrate our birthday. But working through Mr. John O'Brien and the bid and 151 Whiskey, we were able to get the Clydesdales come next Thursday to celebrate, hopefully, our birthday, 225. Out here in the parking lot at 4 o'clock, you'll see the trucks pull up and unload the horses and harness them up. And the most exciting thing is to see that happen. And see them parade down the street and hand out cases of beer to different establishments. There's only one little quirk in the whole thing. If it looks like today, you won't see the horses because the horses are so heavily insured that they have to go on perfect ground down the street. The last time they were here a few years back, threat of rain, they put them right back in the truck. So if you don't want to be disappointed, come to Borough Hall at 4 o'clock and you'll see the horses getting all dressed up and their tails combed, and you can actually see it harnessed up here and drive through the sweetest word in the borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Simone?
So I think it was Tom Walsh that said a week or two or a month or two ago, I guess, at one of our meetings that it is now high PSD season, which is people, strollers, and dogs. And it is true. I'm very excited about it. Gay Street is now closed on the weekends and we can walk around, and I'm seeing everybody walk around and have a great time and going to the restaurants and to the stores and really supporting our businesses in town. And I'm just really excited about this time of year and being able to really enjoy all the things that the borough has to offer, which my colleagues have mentioned here tonight as well. So yeah, I'm just really excited for this time of year.
Thank you. Mayor Di Battiste.
Thank you, President. As you can see, Westchester is a wonderful place to live with all of the wonderful events coming up, from Porch Fest to the Clydesdale. And you can put this on your agenda also. On May 19th, this coming Sunday, former Mayor Clifford E. DeBaptiste, who I'm related to, is celebrating his 100th birthday. And certainly come out and say hi. If you knew him or served under him, or just want to meet him, come out to Milestone Events, May 19th from 2 to 4. And it will be a special day. Thank you.
Thank you. It is that time of year. Everything comes alive, lots of activities. I'll take the one that I don't think was said yet, which is the Children's Business Fair. That's on Saturday, 9 to 1, right before the Porch Fest. So sounds like a day downtown. So everyone have a safe and happy and hopefully dry spring going forward. So next on the agenda, announcing the purpose of the May 15, 2024 executive session to discuss legal matters. Number 6, presentation by the Westchester Fire Department for efforts during a building fire in December of 2023.
Good evening. My name's Steve Pelna. For those who don't know me, I served this great community as fire chief up until recently. So I'm privileged to stand before you tonight. There's nothing quite like the emotions that go through you when you're dispatched to a fire, not knowing what you're actually going to see when you arrive on scene. Your heart's racing, the adrenaline's pumping through your body. You have to keep all those emotions in check so you can make split-second decisions. But what truly sets these moments apart is the realization that somebody could be trapped upon your arrival. The response to an apartment fire at 51 Patton Alley in December of 2023 brought all these emotions forward. Arriving alongside the Westchester Police Department and Good Fellowship Ambulance Club, we found heavy smoke showing from an apartment with reports of a female trapped on the second floor of that building. The first arriving officer on scene, Assistant Chief Justin McClure, entered the building quickly and found the victim. In the process, he himself became trapped, which was very emotional for myself as the incident commander to hear that over the radio. Firefighters Max Quinn and John Doherty quickly made entry into the building and removed the victim from the building with the assistance of Lieutenant Al Smiley. Once the fire was controlled, Assistant Chief Justin McClure was able to self-extricate himself from the building. I'd like to call upon these 4 members: Assistant Chief Justin McClure, firefighters Max Quinn, firefighter John Doherty, and also Lieutenant Al Smiley, if they could come up, please. Thank you, Aiden. First, we are awarding the Medal of Bravery to Assistant Chief Justin McClure. Thanks, Aiden. The Westchester Fire Department bestows this citation to the Westchester Assistant Fire Chief Justin McClure for displaying, thank you, buddy, for displaying extraordinary bravery and selflessness during an apartment fire at 51 Patton Alley on December 26, 2023. Despite extreme heat and thick smoke conditions, Assistant Fire Chief Justin McClure ascended to the second floor apartment to rescue a trapped victim. His courage and dedication in the face of imminent danger exemplified the highest standards of the Westchester Fire Department. I award the Medal of Bravery to Assistant Chief Justin McClure. So the three gentlemen you see here, Lieutenant Al Smiley, firefighters Max Quinn, and firefighter John Doherty, received the unit commendation. The Westchester Fire Department bestows this citation to Lieutenant Al Smiley, firefighter Max Quinn, firefighter John Doherty, for exceptional teamwork and bravery as a member of Engine Company 52 and Ladder Company 53 during an apartment fire on December 26, 2023. The lieutenant and firefighters played a crucial role in coordinating the rescue of a female victim from the second floor. Their unwavering dedication and courage under extreme conditions exemplify the highest traditions of the Westchester Fire Department. Again, Lieutenant Al Smiley, firefighters Max Quinn, and firefighter John Doherty all received unit commendations. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, number 7, Rail Restoration Committee request for a November 2024 ballot initiative.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Levin, Chair of the Rail Restoration Committee. I'll let everyone.
Why don't we give them a second? And by the way, Jason, if how long do you think you're gonna need? 5 minutes? Perfect. Thank you. Sir, you are on.
Yeah, is this on? It's one? Must be me. Thank you very much. All right. Take 2.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members, Mayor DeBaptiste. Thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate the opportunity. Just wanted to speak a little bit about the ballot initiative, which I think you're all familiar with. And the ballot initiative is to support public transit between the borough of Westchester and Center City, Philadelphia. I'd like to start with a discussion of values, namely the values of this borough. And also, we just saw some great values there with the fire department as well. I think a clear line can be drawn between the ballot initiative and back to the borough's values. Last night, the Westchester Area Clean Energy Future Team entered into the record a succinct overview of all the ways that the borough, the county, and SEPTA over the past decade have formally committed to fighting climate change and inequality at the local level. These efforts are laudable, but they only matter if they're acted upon. Greenhouse gas emissions are not going to shrink in the face of resolutions and plans. Only renewable energy and electrification can do that. An affordability crisis will not abate unless we enable more ways for people to live without having to own a costly private vehicle, and we can connecting people to more jobs that pay a living wage. In 2015, the borough adopted an amendment to their home rule charter known as the Community Bill of Rights. This amendment banned fracking and recognized the rights of nature. It gave residents the right to local community self-government and rights to clean water, clean air, peaceful enjoyment of home, and a sustainable energy future. Taken together, these efforts underscore a deep commitment in the borough to building a more sustainable and affordable future. Another topic that is important to address briefly here is the relationship between the proposed Westchester Metro, battery train, and the existing Westchester Railroad tourist trains. The Westchester Railroad gave a very detailed annual report last night demonstrating all the private sector investment and volunteer labor that has been donated to Westchester over the past 27 years. I started volunteering for the Westchester Railroad, replacing ties, doing track work in 2017. So I know how hard those volunteers work. And my family makes an annual trip to their Christmas tree train, and that's something we want to continue long into the future. All this to say, I never want to see the Westchester Railroad go away. I'm glad to see they'll soon be receiving a 15-year lease to continue their great work and their very professional operation. I brought with me tonight a couple items which are meaningful symbols of everything we're discussing. The first item is a mug that the committee put together a few years ago. On one side, it has the borough and the committee's name on it. The other side has the Westchester Railroad's logo on it. So this was from a time where we were collaborating very closely together. And I hope that we can get to that point in the future. Second item is a construction vest for Pop-Up Metro, which I think kind of speaks to the excitement that would build if we could move this initiative forward. We'd improve the line, we'd move towards getting this thing going. So just wanted to put those two things in everyone's mind. And lastly, just one final point about tourist trains and battery trains, right? So as I listen to the long list of private investments that the Westchester Railroad has made, I realize there's a connection between those investments and the $6 million donation that's on the table. That connection is that the borough has become a very attractive place. It's a place to invest, it's a place to grow, and it's evidenced all around: new hotels, new housing, new restaurants coming in. But is this something that can be sustained indefinitely without investment or planning or ideas? No, it's only something that can be pushed forward with new access and new opportunities. And there's sort of a cap, as was mentioned last night, by downtown Westchester. The customer base is starting to get maxed out. You're starting to run out of ways to get people in here to do things to continue expanding. So we think this initiative can be part of that. When we last spoke about the ballot initiative a month ago, the committee noted the deadline for advertising an ordinance would be Borough Council's June voting session. And that June deadline is critical, and the final ordinance would need to be delivered by July 30th, which is the 13th Tuesday before the election. I also want to underscore that, as we all know, we're in a presidential election year. So it's important for a couple reasons. First, a well-advertised ballot initiative on a subject of intense local interest can drive a significant increase in voter turnout, which has major implications in a purple county within a purple state in an election year. Second, being able to specifically quantify the percentage of borough residents who are supportive of this initiative will provide the borough and the county with the leverage they need to reinvigorate negotiations with SEPTA. As mentioned in the committee's annual report, SEPTA essentially dismissed efforts to restore commuter service on the Westchester branch line, and the borough at this point has very little political leverage right now. So this initiative could change that math. Our understanding is the discussions with the solicitor could get underway soon. We'd want to support those any way we could. Now, getting to the specific language itself, previously we had mentioned a right to clean, affordable, sustainable rail transit service from Westchester to Philly. However, we believe a broader language, such as a right to affordable, reliable, zero emissions public transit service from Westchester to Philadelphia, could be more inclusive, could receive more widespread support. We also understand there's sensitivity around the word right specifically, so that's obviously something that could be adjusted as needed. All the language could be adjusted, but the idea is that the concept still remains. So I don't need to get too much into the specifics on the question. I've shared that with you. But in closing, I just want to thank council for the time. And I want to leave you with a quote from Daniel Burnham that means a lot to me. And I don't know if anyone's heard it before, but he was the planner of the Chicago World's Fair. And he simply said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir our blood." So thank you. And any questions?
Council?
I don't have a question. I don't have a question. I do have a couple comments though, and it's mainly just based on reflection of the last series of meetings that we've had. And, the big themes are housing, parking, which you can't talk about without, you can't talk about housing without talking about parking. But transportation, transit comes up third. At some point, we're going to be flipping that on its head because we're not moving anything in the transit area. And we're going to be adding, I don't know, estimate 1,000 new households, automobiles, somewhere around there. We haven't even factored in visitors. We're going to have to start talking about transit options because, and multiple people brought this up. I wrote a couple notes, but, Mr. Cherry's brought it up a couple times. It says we're kind of a unique urban area where we are dependent on cars and we don't have transit. Mr. O'Brien, when we were talking about parking, our head of our bid, basically said that all of our building plans right now are basically a cars first policy. And we also heard from Mr. Whiteford from East Bradford that reminded us of some goals that we had set back in 2015 that we had barely moved the needle on in terms of sustainability. And a lot of those had to do with electrification, a lot of sustainability efforts that so far we have barely cracked. And I think we're talking about that now. But I just wanted to commend the Rail Restoration Committee for keeping this conversation going because I think it's going to be more important as we continue to see development and we're going to feel the effects of that. And to just basically acknowledge the fact that we don't have a great forum for talking about transit. It's not really, doesn't fit with any of our committees currently. And you guys are kind of a lonely island right now. But I wanted to just acknowledge that, commend you for all the efforts so far and the fact that this does need to be on our radar, maybe not just rail, but in general transit. Right. A couple other notes. Philadelphia Airport is 23 miles away. It takes by bus 2 hours and 3 minutes to get there. I typed into Google Transit by bike. You could get there in 2 hours and 19 minutes.
Get some exercise.
Yeah. Downingtown, there's no great way to get to, by bus, it takes you 58 minutes. You could bike there in 44 minutes. To the hospital, just Chester County Hospital, takes 19 minutes by bus. You could walk there in 19 minutes if you could walk. The other option is you could wait till 6 a.m. tomorrow and get there in 6 minutes. None of those are great options. So, and even Derek Slifer last night from the Westchester Railroad mentioned that until recently, that line's been cut off to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. There's basically one in and out. That's kind of how our transit is in Westchester Borough right now. It's very difficult. It feels like we're cut off from the outside world. I hope that this gets on people's radar and we start talking about this a little bit more because it is an issue and we do need some coalition with the county to try to get this stuff moving. Thank you.
Great. Other members?
I guess I'm not clear what the ask is tonight. We had this discussion last month during the work session. So what is the ask tonight?
I mean, I think we're pretty clearly still pushing for a ballot initiative at this point and want to see a vote on that. Yeah.
Is there a reason that didn't go to the Smart Growth Committee?
Oh, I was actually out of town last week. I actually was, but there's also a time urgency to it, but that was not the reason that we didn't go to Smart Growth. Yeah.
Mr. Norley, do you know why it didn't go to Smart Growth?
Yeah.
You presented last month, so that's why I'm directing the question to you.
Look, I applaud your efforts. I applaud your persistence over the years. I agree with Brian that there's a greater conversation to be had because there is. I don't think that the ballot is the place to have this conversation. I believe the rights that we have are true rights of individuals, and they came not from a wish, which right now we've got a wish. They've come from years of support. Like the goal isn't to garner support by creating the right. The goal is to have the support first, and then when you see a consistent level of a high level of support, and the borough starts putting money behind it, then that could happen. But even again, public transportation is not a right of an individual. Water, you need water to survive. Clean air, you need clean air to survive. You don't need public transportation to survive. And so unfortunately, for your specific ask, I don't think it's the right place for the ballot. I also would love to sit down with you at some point. I've told Jordan extensively as a transit rider, someone who rides from Exton using both Amtrak and SEPTA in order to get me in and out of the city very quickly. I have deep concerns over the type of business plan or the sustainability of this electric car, just because I don't see, because it adds risks, it adds time, and it adds dollars to the travel time for those in Westchester. And I also am a little uncertain who would ride it. Like, there's no parking. I'm not sure who would walk there. I'm probably one of the closest people to that train, and I wouldn't walk there on the regular. I wouldn't walk there. I would drive my car to Exton because it's faster and it costs less, and I have Amtrak as an option and all of these things. So I would love to talk to you about your business plan, which I have not seen a business plan of ridership and how this could even be sustainable, this particular initiative. And I would love to pick a rider's brain, and I can, we can work on business plan conversations.
Yeah.
But because it's an interesting conversation to have, but with the cost of this electric vehicle and all of the couple of things that I just mentioned, I'm not sure you'd get the results that you were looking for anyway, because of all the things I called out, if you're trying to garner support for a long-term solution from SEPTA. And SEPTA as well, I mean, if you guys, they haven't given you support because it's very costly, and at the best, it's cannibalization of their ridership. And if you talk about Phoenixville, for example, Phoenixville never got support from SEPTA either. They started getting support when Amtrak realized that they could get people from Reading to New York, and Phoenixville happened to be in the way. So that's something that you guys can consider. Like SEPTA's not, they're not there, and they may never get there because of all of this. So that's some of the feedback that I've given Jordan, and I just wanted to share with you and for those who care to listen tonight. That aside, I don't think this ballot initiative also is really getting to the heart. You're trying to figure out if people are interested in the train or interested in riding the train. There's like so many different layers to that question, and just somebody saying that it's a right. First of all, it's not a right. And second of all, that's not giving you the answer of ridership and really like who's going to be on that train, which is what you really need to figure out.
Mhm.
So again, long story long, longer than your presentation. I couldn't support this ballot initiative.
Understood. Thank you.
Others? I guess I would say for my part, and we just discussed this last month, I still have a problem with the right. I agree with Nicole. I'm not sure why the ballot initiative is necessary to get the sense of support borough-wide for this, but I still have a problem with the word right. Yeah, the statements of law that follow the Bill of Rights for all the other things that were done since 2015 have very specific consequences for not meeting those rights. So it makes me uncomfortable.
I'll take a different spin on it. Last night, I got so excited. Sitting here felt like 5 hours listening to how many railroad ties there are from Westchester to Wawa. Yeah, but the exciting part of what I've heard last night is that from Glen Mills to Wawa, that has been brought up to speed at SEPTA's cost. And I'm sure SEPTA did it the way they wanted to do it, which was probably top shelf. It costed a lot, 10 times more than anybody else would do it. So in my mind last night, I had the pop-up train being dropped off and doing a test run from here to Wawa if SEPTA would let us put it on the tracks and see actually if it works. We're guessing it works. I rode on it. It was great with members of council, and it was a great day, and I thought it was awesome. It would be, I know it'd be cost prohibitive to bring down one train on a trailer and run the thing. It'd be like a show and a real show and tell whether you guys could handle the curves at the speed that you say you have to do it at. Now, I'm not so sure. I looked at the crossroads. I saw all the ties replacements, all the new intersections that were done, and I'm confident that the battery train could handle the road very well. And I would love to, for me, it would be like, Mickey Mantle driving down Broadway in New York to see that thing run from here to Wawa and say, I told you it would work. So I have no qualms about all that. So that's my 2 cents on it. It's, you don't know it's going to work till you see it work. And it costs too much money, I guess, to try it. So thank you.
Other comments? Any comments from the public?
Yeah, I actually do have one comment. I mean, I look at this and I looked at the Community Bill of Rights, and the Community Bill of Rights does talk essentially about sustainability. It talks about the right to clean air, and at that particular time, the mayor's climate change initiative, and I think that this is actually a good start. I think having a conversation and potentially building momentum is a good thing. I come from the investment world, and I look at this as an investment. And if people want to voice their opinion on a ballot initiative, I think that's fine. I don't think it's something that says, hey, we got to go buy a train right away. It's not saying that. No one's saying that. What it's saying is that people should have the opportunity for public transportation. And if we look at this, I mean, we're the county seat. Brian mentioned we always talk about homes, we talk about parking, we talk about all of these things, but transportation does go hand in hand with all of these things. Transportation, public transportation, whether you ride on Amtrak or SEPTA, to go to another place, that could provide economic mobility. That's a good thing. And if you're, going to the train station at Wawa, which is essentially almost media, and media is coming here, I think that's a good thing. I think if you look at the Wyeth property being developed, people could come from wherever. I mean, that's going to be 500 jobs from all over the place, essentially. I hope they're within the borough for the most part, but maybe not. That's a good thing, that you want people to have the ability to come here through sustainable means. And putting this on the ballot doesn't harm anyone. It doesn't harm anyone at all. I mean, people could vote yes, they could vote no. It's just 50+1 if they want it. And I think when the railroad committee, and we can make that plea out there if it does pass and say, hey, listen, people want this. To Brian's point, there's going to be 1,000 more people coming in the borough, maybe more than that. And maybe within the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that would help reduce cars. It helps reduce emissions. And so I don't think we should be afraid of this question. I understand there's maybe some language in there that needs to be updated, but I think that as a community that has prided itself on sustainability and environmental rights, why not?
So it sounds like there's some support for saying yes to this initiative with perhaps some language changes.
I mean, if you're amenable to it, if you're all amenable to it, I don't see why not. I mean, public transportation, I look at that, that's a right to me, for a community. I mean, if I could take the train to work, or if I want to go to Wawa and media or whatever, why not? It's a hell of a lot better than driving there and coming back.
I guess my question is, and I'm with Nicole on this, why it needs to be a ballot initiative. We've got the Railroad Restoration Committee that we established. We've, endorsed or funded grants for them to do the work that they've done. And I think we talked about this last month, is COVID has changed a lot. I've taken the train or took the train into the city before COVID, take the train after COVID, and the ridership, which is one of SEPTA's biggest challenges right now, is down significantly. And I think, Nicole, you raise a good point, is, the electric train takes folks, could take folks take riders off of SEPTA onto the electric train into media, which I had done as well. I used to take the train and get off in Elwyn when that existed. It's a longer ride. I think the word the cannibalism, right? They're eating their own riders by leveraging, but people would use it to get to media, or Wawa. I'm sorry. I think that more studies need to be done based on ridership after COVID and what SEPTA would endorse after COVID, given the challenges given the challenges that SEPTA has right now with ridership.
Mr. McCoy, we had a meeting. The years are passing me by. Everybody from SEPTA came out here, all the assistant general managers and the board members, that we sat here and we talked about SEPTA's investment into the borough. And their investment was not so much the train, because they told us the train, they did not support the train. But what they were willing to do was put electric buses in the borough and run the buses nonstop from here to Exton, Exton. And it would be like a 12-minute ride nonstop and get the people right on their trains. I live near the transportation center, and if I hear the buses turning one more time, it drives me out of my mind. Poor Father Bellapede at St. Agnes, when that bus comes around Chestnut Street, he knows it's time to get up to say mass, because that's when the first bus comes through. The bus is turning. I had a little issue with some of the words, which we had a discussion with the solicitor to give us some explanation on that. He just happened to be here, and but the fact of the matter is there has to be, if we're going to put it on the ballot, the text has to change, because as we know, that we can't enforce whatever the right is. So that was clearly put to us by the solicitor, and he was shooting from the hip, because he was going through his mind trying to come up with stuff that would make it work, if you remember. So thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? I think if we did have, because I agree, I think transportation is a right. I really feel strongly about that. I feel it's a right. You should have the right to be mobile, the right for mobility, and it should be affordable. You shouldn't have to buy a car in order to do that, or maintain it, or buy insurance, or feed it with gas. It's the issue that we're talking about. If it's in the Bill of Rights, is transit. It's the right to affordable transit. We can leave it like that, and then I'm in support of learning more about the support for rail.
Yeah, so I would say we don't have to mention the word rail as long as we mention the word zero emissions, which gets to the climate part of the story. But that includes.
I don't even know if we need to do that. I think if we include an item in there about
transit
mobility, that is what we're talking about. How we get there is our own choice, and it might be already covered off by something else. So the simplest is the best. if we want to get it into the Bill of Rights. But I do believe it to be a right. I'm with Mr. McGinnis on that.
So I am 100% in support of what you just said, that mobility is a right with our borough becoming denser and denser and parking being an issue and all the issues that we have. And we're making a step by putting a bus stop on High Street. That is a step towards better transit in our borough. And it's not your train, but it is a step in that direction. And we need to do a lot more to take care of the people who live here, who want to come here, who need to be much more mobile. The university students, I want them to be able to come in and out more easily. This is very important. Putting on the ballot that we're sort of maybe promising a train into Philadelphia is not even what you guys are proposing. That really pains me that that's still in the language. He just said it.
No, the train's not in the not proposed language anymore. So yeah.
We received a letter at 5 o'clock.
Again, read it to me, what you just read.
Sure. Okay. A right to affordable, reliable, zero emissions public transit service from Westchester to Philadelphia. So we have right now.
From Westchester to Philadelphia. But if I put my 15-year-old kid on a train in Westchester, he has to get off in Wawa, get on a different train. That's not a train from Westchester to Philadelphia. That's a train partway that connects to another train. That language bothers me to no end. And I thought I made that pretty clear. The path Westchester to Philadelphia is not what we're promising. You can get to 69th Street on a bus. That's already here. We're not giving anybody what is in that language. So okay, the language isn't right. We know that. I am all for public transportation being accessible and a right, and I want to do a ton more, but I don't think this, what you've proposed belongs on the ballot.
So how do we propose to move this forward?
You have some other.
Public comment,
Yeah.
please.
I would like to make this quick.
Sorry, if you would state your
Oh, this
name
is
and
Everett
address.
Butcher, 605 West Market Street, Westchester, PA. And Councilman McGinnis, Councilman Travis, Councilman Kara, they brought up real good points and you kind of took a little fire with it. I see transportation as a right. And as you said, the wording, but the changing the word is accessibility. You don't have to promise, like you're saying, take them to Philadelphia, but accessibility to be able to get through the other means that are available, which there are citizens within the borough that are disenfranchised because they don't have the opportunity. I believe it was Councilman Travis that was talking about accessibility. And we have those that are disenfranchised because they don't even have the accessibility to have the means to be able to even get to a bus and with those schedules, or if they get a train. But the broader part of this is for those that are disenfranchised, let's look at it from a social aspect. Those that don't have the opportunity to take these means to see things outside of the borough, educationally wise, and that opportunity. Being on the ballot in that sense, it also empowers those people that are disenfranchised to let them know that they actually have a voice and they can make a choice. And that's the whole realm around this. And like you were saying, I believe there can be not even a compromise, but it could be changed in such a way that we're addressing each and every need. And I hope that each and everyone will consider that.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Goldberg, and I'm a student at Westchester University. I see an expansion of public transportation, whether ideally in the form of a rail or buses, as going a long way in addressing the challenges that not only we students face, but the wider community does as well, those being a shortage of parking space and housing. If students could simply commute here from wherever they may live, we would take up a lot less parking and housing space and make room for residents of the community. And with that, would reduce a lot of the tensions generated by our competition for that shrinking supply of housing and parking. I thank y'all for giving me a chance to speak on behalf of the student body. And I hope you consider this from our perspective, as well as the wider communities. Because it's not just an issue for us students, and it's an issue and a solution for, I think, the entire community as well. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi there, Terry McClure, 302 West Marshall Street. And yes, that was my son and my little grandbaby's cousin, Lotta Ruckus. I have just a couple things. Number one, I listened to that wonderful presentation last night, and I was so impressed of all the work that Westchester Railroad has done. So whatever you all decide to do with this, I would like to make sure that there is almost a 100% guarantee that they will not be displaced, because that would be so sad for this community. And second, in terms of it being right, maybe transit, but putting this on the ballot as a right to all those specific terms concerns me very much. Particularly what if I'm always a plan B, plan C kind of a person. So what if something happens? What then, if it's not successful, is the borough's financial responsibility going forward, because we have guaranteed a right? Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's my concern. Putting it on the ballot is my concern that if we can't guarantee this to happen and we're saying it's a right, then how do we guarantee this going forward? I always thought that putting something on the ballot comes from the community, the desire of the community. And it seems like perhaps a petition of some sort would be needed to show that this is a desire coming from the community, not from the council. Not from the council saying, yes, this is a concern, so we should put it as a ballot question, but it should be the community coming to us and saying, this should be a ballot question because this is of extreme interest to all of us in the community. Because, you know, it does have impact. And yes, it would solve issues if we had a reliable and good train system, and particularly one that has zero emissions. However, when you talk about affordability, I don't see this being any more affordable than going to Exton. In fact, if time is money, it's not more affordable because it would take 20 minutes more than catching a train from Exton, going to Westchester and then to Wawa and then into Philadelphia. It would take more money, it would take more time. So it would not necessarily be affordable to the people it needs to be affordable for. So that's a concern. But it seems to me that as a ballot initiative, it should come from the people. You should show that the people want this, and that you should show, as Nicole has said, so after we put it on the ballot, then what? Will you then have a business plan in place, or a way that it's going to garner the steam it needs to garner so we can move this forward? Because I know this is a concern and a question and a desire, but really, how does the ballot question move this forward? And that's a question in my mind that I don't think I've heard the answer to. We decide we're putting it on the ballot, and the people are looking at it like, why? Why? So I think you need some sort of petition to show that this is desired by a percentage of the people, of the borough residents here. I think that would certainly help the initiative. And then it also invests people in the community in this initiative. That's my take on it.
So I guess my question for the rest of the council is if we had language change, would we have support for this or not?
Unfortunately, not for me, because it's it's too many ifs right now. And also, if you put in the Bill of Rights, no matter what language you change, it's still in the Bill of Rights. And it still goes back to there's potential liability down the road at some point for somebody to come back and ask for a big pile of money that we don't have to support something. Even though as important as it is, as important if we've all said it is, it's not that it's not an important conversation similar to the sustainable housing conversation that we've started and we had less. But it's just, we're not ready. We don't have the funding. We don't have to put, we don't have the understanding of what the true support and ridership is to be able to say that any kind of transit, we can actually put some money behind at this point in time. But I support, petitions and all these other things that we've talked about, more work on the business plan and trying to figure out what could work for our community. But just putting it on the ballot with this question that would land in the Bill of Rights, no matter how it's worded, and we don't have time, that we've been told we don't really have time to really wordsmith something. So.
Well, my suggestion was going to be, if Mr. Metzger, we could, have the solicitor look at this. I mean, I don't think the solicitor has looked at this at all. Am I correct? Do we need that? Would it help other people to get over the right language?
What language are we referring to? The question that we're going to put on the ballot?
Well, there are two things. To me, and I've said this repeatedly, I don't like the word right. I don't disagree that it is the right for people to have accessible, sustainable transportation, but it's not the borough's responsibility to provide that and be financially somehow. And maybe that word, the solicitor would say, oh, that doesn't really mean anything. It's just whatever. I don't agree that that's the case, but I want to know that that is the case. And number two, there are statements of law that follow all these things, which say, if you do not do this, if a company comes in and, performs fracking or does, puts in gas wells or whatever, there are some very specific consequences to that. I want to know that if we put this on in that language that's in there, that does not leave the borough in the same exposure.
We had an off-the-cuff conversation earlier tonight. We were just sitting here banging around. Michael Gill's main thought was that the borough cannot, because we're not in the transportation business, we cannot guarantee somebody the right to ride. We make it accessible, like the transportation center, but we can't make SEPTA, do anything more than they want to do. And by saying that we have a right to transportation, it could put the borough in a position where we would be held liable for funding it. That was his off the cuff, but a deeper dive would probably work better.
Does anyone have the bill? I'm sorry. Do you do? Could we look at that? Because I'm trying to Google it. Yeah. Of them, it's not like the preamble of the Constitution, right?
It is called the Community Bill of Rights. So no matter what we stuck under it, we would be saying that it's a community right. And so that goes back to, I'm not sure, no matter how much we wordsmith it, how it could not be considered a right. So that's kind of the thing there. But okay, government legitimacy. All legitimate governments in the United States owe their existence to people of the community that those governments serve. And governments exist to secure and protect the rights of the people and those communities. Any system of government that becomes destructive of those ends is not legitimate, lawful, or constitutional. So a good government. Right of local community self-government. The people of Westchester Borough possess both a collective and individual right to self-government in their local community, a right to the system of government that embodies that right, and the right to a system of government that protects, secures their human, civil, and collective rights. Again, these are, we put money behind it. Right, and it's, right to assert the right of self-government. The people of Westchester Borough possess the right to use their local government to make law, and the making and enforcement of law by the people through a municipal corporation or any other institution shall not eliminate, limit, or reduce their sovereign right to local community self-government. Rights of ecosystems and natural communities. Ecosystems and natural communities within Westchester Borough possess the right to exist, flourish, and naturally evolve. Right to water. All residents, natural communities, and ecosystems in the Westchester Borough possess a fundamental and inalienable right to sustainably access, use, consume, and preserve water drawn from natural water cycles that provide water necessary to sustain life within the borough. And we have a borough water treatment system. Right to clean air. All residents, natural communities, and ecosystems in Westchester Borough possess a fundamental and inalienable right to breathe air untainted by toxins, carcinogens, particulates, and other substances known to cause harm to health. So that would be, which businesses we allow in here and what they emit. Right to peaceful enjoyment of home. Residents of Westchester Borough possess a fundamental and inalienable right to the peaceful enjoyment of their homes, free from interference, intrusion, nuisances, or impediments to access and occupation. So some of that is, we try to enforce our zoning, we put money behind that, and also, we're not going to go in and, the police aren't going to go in and occupy your house, right? Like, we're not that kind of government. Right to sustainable energy future. All residents of Westchester Borough possess a right to a sustainable energy future, which includes but is not limited to the development, production, and use of energy from renewable fuel sources, and the right to be free from any form of non-sustainable energy extraction and distribution, which threatens to cause harm to the people and natural environment of Westchester Borough. So that goes back to the fracking stuff. And we do, we do have a sustainable director that we've put some money behind for sustainability in other ways. Rights as self-executing. All rights secured by this law are inherent, fundamental, and inalienable, and shall be self-executing and enforceable against both private and public actors. Further implementing legislation shall not be required for the borough, the residents of Westchester Borough, or the ecosystems and natural communities protected by this law to enforce all the provisions of this law. So those are the Bill of Rights for Westchester. Hopefully you guys stuck with me as I read through them.
Thanks.
Could I add?
Yes,
something?
please. Sorry, would you give us your name and address,
Yes,
please?
my name is Margaret Hudgings. I live at 409 West Union Street and have for about 54 years. Have a tremendous commitment to the borough. Also have a daughter who works as a professor at Westchester University and is confronted on a daily basis with students who have a lot of difficulty getting to class. And that she usually has 2 to 3 students from Philadelphia who are spending hours commuting to Westchester and to Cheney. It is not a reasonable lifestyle. We can't expect students to be able to do all their work and get everything done and spend hours commuting back and forth to college. So I just wondered if you had explored working with the Office of Sustainability at Westchester University. They have done a lot of research on this. They have found that 1 in 4 students in Westchester does not have access to a car. That means they can't even easily access any kind of fresh food because we don't have grocery stores that are not really expensive in the borough. So I think this is a significant lifestyle problem. People need to be able to get education and they need to be able to work. So I certainly hope that it's something that council will address.
Mr.
Well, I
McCoy,
think it's safe to say that everyone supports transportation and having it sustainable. The question is, how do we move this forward?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we all recognize that there are transportation needs. The question is, does this belong on the ballot and in the Bill of Rights? That's the question, right?
I want to say this is already listed in the comprehensive plan it's very clearly listed. We should be doing something about it. I don't think this has any place on the ballot.
Agree.
So I don't hear any motions. Are we tabling this, leaving it?
Mr. McCoy, there were two things that we were thinking about changing language on. The first would be is if, to explore the idea of mobility as a right. I think that'd be worth asking the solicitor, because I don't think this is the only time this is going to come up.
I'm okay with that. We have a consensus majority that would support that.
Support it in what matter?
Having the solicitor work to, I guess, I don't know if it's to craft language specifically for a ballot initiative or if it's for,
Again, I don't think this goes into the Bill of Rights. I think this conversation should continue on what the proper transit for our community is and where the ridership is and where they're going and what they really need, right? Like we need to understand that. A couple of students that go to Philadelphia, yes, they probably need the train, but unfortunately that's not a sustainable, we have to figure out where the real ridership is and where they need to go and then try to figure that out. But trying to put something on the ballot that we don't have that makes it a right and puts us at the liability and all those things, no matter what the language, it makes me, I think there's other ways that we can support this organization and other organizations to get the right kind of transportation for the people that need it now and will need it in the future.
Mr. Metrick, you have an idea?
No, knowing that the question before council is whether to put this item on a ballot initiative, which would necessitate council passing an ordinance. There's two things I think that can happen procedurally. Someone on council, not the president, could ask to call the question, or someone on council could ask to make a motion to table the item, and we would take it up again at the next meeting. So that procedurally, that would be a way to move forward if you're satisfied that enough debate has happened on this matter and you want to close debate.
I want to close the debate, but I want to ask one thing first. Can we sort of assign this to one of our committees? Can we agree as a group that which committee is going to take this on and really?
I think the Restoration Rail Committee reports up to Smart Growth, correct?
So someone either has to table it
Okay.
to the Smart Growth Committee or call the question.
Can I table it?
I'll second that.
Mr. Metrick, call the question.
This is a motion to table this item.
Question on the motion?
Sure.
Since it's time sensitive, get this thing on the ballot, and we're going to meet next month, which is June. It has to be, help me out with some time frame. Come on up, help me out with some time frame. We got to either fast track it or slow track it, whatever it is, because it's almost like lot 10 again.
Yeah, it's got to get voted on next month if it's going anywhere.
So it has to be approved, information from the solicitor. Council has to rehear it again through Smart Growth and then come back in order to get it on the ballot.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe it could. I would like it to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I think we weren't willing to make any rash decisions with Lot 10. I don't think we should be making quick rash decisions without fully understanding the ramifications of what putting it on the ballot means. and without actually seeing a need to put it on the ballot, because everything you said in the Bill of Rights basically echoes what you're saying. So I'm not sure why you need an addendum to it, to the Bill of Rights, because it's already in the Bill of Rights. So why it needs to be on the ballot. That's where I'm having the trouble.
Can
The
I,
ramifications of it being on the ballot and the implications, and then the financial obligations. Those are the three issues I really struggle with. And I don't think we're prepared to, maybe we aren't prepared to make a quick decision.
can I change my motion? I want to call it for a vote. But I want Smart Growth to add to their agenda that they're going to address public transportation. That's it. That's all I wanted Smart Growth to do. So can I call this for a vote right now?
You have to take your second back, or you have to take your second back. We have to start over.
Can we start over, Lisa?
You have to, one of you two got to take your second back.
I don't understand what we're doing. Like, I thought we were
15
tabling,
minutes,
just a second. I thought we were tabling it to go to Smart Growth to have the conversation around transportation and this particular ballot issue, and then we would vote on it next month.
And my question to the motion was, how fast can we get it done? And it's a,
What is the sense of urgency? Why do we have to do that this month?
okay, so that's the end of my question, the urgency to it. And the urgency was because we have to get it be done by June to get it on the July, to get to the voter services, to get it on the ballot.
Wasn't my question. Why does it have to be on this year's ballot? Why does it have to be on November's ballot? Can't be on next November's after we've had a chance to discuss it.
Oh, well, I mean, with regards to this vote, so if you table it, you're stopping the effort. It's over if you table it, because you're going to need a majority of council to say, to give direction to Sean, to let the solicitor know to draft a draft ordinance, to create a draft ordinance. So it's nothing you would do tonight. You wouldn't be voting on whether to implement an ordinance or any of those things. You get another bite or two at the apple. What this is whether to actually try to solve the issues, which to me, what I hear is that's the majority of which this is, I don't know, it seems like it's mainly wordsmithing based and things that we can work with. Eliminate from Westchester to Philadelphia, that's gone, okay? I mean, we eliminate, right in the sentence, that's gone. So, whatever, I think we can work through it, but the majority of council will need to tonight provide direction for the solicitor to create a draft ordinance to then be reviewed upon in Smart Growth, and then ultimately at the voting session next month in order to move forward or not.
Mr. President, I don't understand. I still don't understand why this can't be deferred to Smart Growth for review. We can decide, whether it needs wording, it doesn't need wording, it needs to be on November's ballot. It can wait until next year's ballot. I still didn't hear the sense of urgency of why it has to be done this year. I'd like to make a motion that we defer this to Smart Growth for next month.
Technically, we have to remove a motion, to remove the motion. So to remove the deferral to Smart Growth and then go with a new motion, we should need 2/3 majority. So we need 2/3 to vote no, and then someone makes the motion to have a vote on whether we should do it now or not.
So Sheila, do you want to withdraw your?
I will withdraw whatever I need to withdraw. I'm done. Nothing I said.
I will second the withdrawal that I seconded to begin with. I would like to recommend that we defer this to Smart Growth for June and that we gather more information to understand, the language, whether it belongs in Bill of Rights or not, and understand why it needs to be on the November ballot.
And I will second that.
Why is very simple. I mean, it's just sort of the fierce urgency of now. I mean, this is important. This is an important topic. We're not even talking about rail. Like, you guys care about public transit. It matters to your voters. So that's the why.
We do, but it doesn't need to, it doesn't need to be on the ballot this year. And Nicole just read, that sustainability is very important. It's part of the Bill of Rights. It's in our comprehensive plan. You're still missing me on why this needs to happen now and in the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity to quantify actual borough resident support. That's all.
I think with a well thought out business plan that also talks about ridership and who these different types of programs could serve, I think that would even garner more support if people know what they're voting on. Right now, just a random question doesn't let people know if it's actually supporting them. And that's where I agree with Felisa to go back to Smart
First of all,
Growth.
we have a motion.
Can I step in here? Can I step in? Just like procedurally, there's something going wrong here. The
Yeah,
last-
we have to stop
last
again.
10 minutes. When a motion to table something or to call the vote is made, it's decided without further debate. And we've done that now for 10 minutes. We've put two motions now out and continue to debate it. So when you make a motion to table something or to vote on something, that's it. No more debate.
Right,
So-
table
so
motions, there's
We
actually
took,
no
we
debate.
took the first back. The current motion on the table is to defer to the smart growth for next month's meeting. So, Mr. Metric, would you call the question?
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
No.
Mr. Travis?
No.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
That's 5-2 yes to refer to Smart Growth in June.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Discussion item 8A, appointment to fill the planning commission vacancy. I believe we have two candidates. Am I correct?
Yeah, Mr. McCoy, I'd like to recommend, if they're careful thinking about it, Steve Mitten, he was asked to hold on because we needed to get more information. And Mr. Highland is already appointed to a committee just recently. And Mr. Mitten has been waiting to see if anybody else showed up for planning commission, and he's been very patient and he wants to serve. So Mr. Highland is already on the committee, and this guy needs a committee to be on.
So what's the motion? Sorry.
The motion, I believe, was to appoint.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Correct. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes.
Okay, 7-0.
Item 8B, motion to approve a one-year lease with the Westchester Growers Market.
So Westchester Growers Market has an annual lease that expires April 30, and it's their responsibility to let us know within 60 days of terms of renewal. That didn't happen. I called up, I did speak with the Growers Market manager about this, and they do want to continue to operate the Growers Market. It was just an administrative oversight on both of our parts. Under the terms and conditions that are similar to the expiring lease, which is $50 for every Saturday, works out to about $1,900 a year every Saturday during the growing season, and then every other Saturday during the off season. It's one of the few markets in Chester County that operates year round. And they would be located in the western sort of half of the parking area. They wouldn't be changing their location. So that's what I circulated around to council, and is agreeable to the growers market.
So I think if I didn't make a motion, or if we didn't vote for this, we would have a nice full room very soon. So I make a motion to approve this lease.
I second.
Mr. Metrick, call the question.
Ms. Dorsey? Mr. Flynn?
Yeah.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Item 9, our consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I will second that.
Mr. Metrick, call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yeah.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Is there any other business? Seeing none, we are adjourned at 7:50. Thank you.